Well, good morning and welcome to the AI in Business presentation where we are talking about unlocking ChatGPT for daily success. So, if you have landed on this video, if you're watching this later on, hopefully this is a interesting topic for you as you look at how do I use AI a little bit more in my business. Specifically, if you're watching this at the end of kind of second half of 2025, looking at how do we use this a little bit more into Q4 and potentially into the start of 2026. So today will be completely about how do we use ChatGPT? What are some of the basic fundamentals to get the absolute most out of our ChatGPT experience, and a few walkthroughs and demos of what this can actually look like. So, with further ado, we're going to jump right into the conversation today. And I want to start off with this one very simple conversation point, which is AI will not replace you. However, a business owner who is using AI will. So the question is, do you have ChatGPT set up? Do you have your AI tool of choice? While today's focus will be on ChatGPT specifically, you can use Gemini, you can use Grok, you can use Claude. There are multiple different large language models out there for use, and you've got to find the one that works the best for you. ChatGPT tends to be one of the most well-known and common ones to explore, so that is where we're going to spend the vast majority of our focus. My intention today is to give you the context of how to start using this in your business. Does it need to take over every aspect of the business today or tomorrow? No, of course not. But you will set yourself up for long-term success if we start learning the basics of how to start incorporating this stuff in. So let's get right into the fundamentals, the basics of ChatGPT. We'll start with the fundamentals, assuming that maybe you have not jumped in and started to use this stuff quite yet. So one of the first things to look at is that there are a different variety of plans that you can access. Everyone can start at the time of this recording with a free plan. It does not cost anything to get a basic ChatGPT account set up. So if there's one action item leaving this conversation today that I can encourage you to do is that if you do not already have a free account for ChatGPT, I'm going to highly recommend that you go and open up a basic account just for free and start getting comfortable with the platform. So it starts out with free. You get the base access to the base model and things like that. Again, at time of this recording, that is the ChatGPT 5 model that is available to all plans at today's day and age. But there are some limitations in terms of usage. So part of that is response times may be slower during peak hours. And you're going to lose some limitations when it comes to, or you're going to have a little bit more limitation. You'll lose some features when it comes to some customizations to projects, which we will talk about a little bit later on, and some additional things there. But you're going to be able to use a lot of the basic stuff right there on the free account. So bare minimum, start with the free account. Now there are two primary paid accounts. There's the Plus account and then the Pro account. The Plus account, again, at time of this recording is about $20 a month. And this gives you general access, even at peak times. So you have the ChatGPT 5 model, you have additional connectors and things like that we'll go through here today. You have faster response time. You get some of the priority features like projects. It's a really big piece that we'll talk about a little bit later on in this conversation. But you get a little bit more from it. You get a little bit more personalization. You get to use a bit more of the tools. It is a fairly low cost. This is the plan that I tend to recommend for most business owners to get started, is a Plus account, because there's a little bit more security. There's a little bit more that comes along with it. And allows you to do a little bit more into your business. There are some limitations if you're on the free account. If you want to upload documents or upload transcripts or different things like that, there will be a limitation on the number of pages and or words, things like that it will allow you to upload into the interface, whereas that is not the case in the Plus account. So just a little bit of a nuance there between the free and the Plus. It's not required to go to a paid plan, but in this case, with the low cost of barrier, I do traditionally recommend it. Then you've got the Pro level. The Pro level is going to come in at I believe, whopping $200 a month. So a much larger investment for this particular plan. This tends to be for heavy users, those that are going to use the agent features a tremendous amount, those that are going to use deep research and do some really complex things with it. This is traditionally not necessary for the vast majority of businesses out there, but it is the top tier plan that is offered by OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, at this particular moment in time. Now, for many of us who are business owners, there is also an additional component called a team account. So a team account's pretty neat. Team account allows you to do some additional things. Once you get into a plus account, things like that, you can start to see that there is an option to set up a team account. Now, a team account actually gives you a shared workspace. It gives you some admin tools so that you can actually provide a ChatGPT account for your team members, which is pretty amazing. With that, it comes with additional security. It comes with additional kind of tools and things that you can use within it. It gives you the ability to control admin things on the back end and control who has access, when they have access, how many seats do you have, all sorts of things like that. And the data privacy things are a little bit more locked up because it is a team account, and we know that there's likely some things going on with regards to the types of information that's being plugged into this thing. It's a really neat way to expand and continue to get your entire business on board and all of your team members on board. Being able to have the ability to share custom GPTs, which we'll talk a little bit about later on today, with your team that are set up based on a knowledge base that it's set up for your specific business. So some pretty cool things there. At again, time of this recording, when I last checked the information, the team account is, I believe, roughly $30 a month per seat. So a little bit more expensive than the plus, but you do get some additional features as a result of that and the ability to control and have security on the back end. So these are the primary 4 ChatGPT plans. If you are brand new and just starting, I recommend with either the free or the plus. The free if you want to just get comfortable with it, the plus if you want to do a bit more. And then as you start to figure out what are the best use cases for you in your business, you can shift over to team or pro or a mix of both of those things there. So this is the basic things that we've got. Now, I'd like to get into some of the hands-on experience here. One of the first things that you should do when you set up your ChatGPT account is to set up some custom instructions. So what does this look like? So custom instructions allow us to tell the model, to tell ChatGPT about us. The more we can share context with it, the better our responses are going to be. So one of the things I hear very frequently is, hey, Tanner, I've been using ChatGPT, or I've kind of typed some things in, but really the responses aren't that great. They're not consistent. And 9 times out of 10, that's because really 2 things are happening. The first one, we have not set up the custom instructions on the front end to be able to give ChatGPT the context that's necessary to give a consistent response and to share with it enough knowledge about us. The second thing that's traditionally happening is we just haven't used it enough, right? The more that we use the tool, the better it gets at understanding us. There's some memory functions within it that allow it to learn as we use it more and more. I always joke that I've been using ChatGPT for a while now, and I've probably run out of memory at least 4 times, if not a couple of times more than that, where I've actually had to go in and start deleting memories because I've put so much information into it. But the difference by really maxing out what you're telling this model about you, the response that you get out of it is significantly better as a result. So one of the first things you can do is set up custom instructions. So we can specify our role and the types of tasks that we traditionally are responsible for. You can share some preferences, and this persists across all chats. So if I'm a teacher or a developer or something else, right? In my case, I'm an educator, a business coach, a marketer. So I can share some of these types of things. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to flip over to my personal ChatGPT account. I'm going to show you some of these settings as we go through. So let's go ahead and flip over and take a look at that here. So here you can see my personal ChatGPT account. And I do have a plus account, which means that I've got some additional things here on the sidebar with regards to projects, which we'll get into in a bit. But the first thing I want to get into here is actually the customization. So if I click on my name down here, I can go to settings, and we can get into a number of different settings. So we've got some information on subscription, the ability to upgrade to a pro account or anything else there, and personalization. So this is where some of these settings are going to come in, is right here under personalization. So if I click on personalization, I've got mine all completely set up here, but it's going to start out with what type of personality do you want? Do you want to enable this personalization? And then you want to give it the custom instructions. So I've gone through and I've set up a number of different ways to set this up, and I don't want it to be very generic. So I've set up very specific things for me. And I tell it, hey, I want it to be blunt. I want it to be data first. I want it to be an operator type of an assistant. I give it some notes on tone and style, structure. I want it to challenge me, so I encourage that right in the instructions that I want it to challenge and not just beef up my ego every time I ask it a question. Provide evidence, formats, decision types of lines, and then different rules and things like that. And then I can choose, words like chatty, witty, straight shooting, encouraging are going to come out of this. So I want to give it as much information on how I want it to respond consistently. Now, for those of you that are sitting here going, that's great, but how do I know exactly what to do? One of the best things that you can do, and I'll show you an example of this here in a second, is actually use ChatGPT to come up with your custom instructions. So we'll come right back to that here after I kind of walk through this for you. But it's how I came up with this and how I've gotten it put together for me. So custom instructions is the first one. And then we're going to come down here to anything you want to call you, your occupation. So for me, I'm an entrepreneur, a business owner, and an investor. So I want to give it that particular context. And then I give it some additional information about me, where I'm based. I'm an entrepreneur. These are some of the things that I tend to be focused on. I run a family business with my parents. I'm deeply focused on these things, tone wise, all of that kind of stuff. I want to give it this context so that it will continue to give me as much contextual and personalized content as possible when I ask it for responses. You can manage all of your memories here. So, I can click on this and I could go through a list of different things that it has saved. And that's where if you ever run out of memory, you can go in and start to sift through those. Reference save memories, reference chat history, things like that, all turned on. So it continues to learn these things. And then once we get back to the slide deck here, we're going to talk a little bit about advanced features and different things like that. But we've got the ability to connect to web search, to code, to canvases, to advanced voice, and just have more features available. So all of this is in that personalization. For me, I've got them all set up here. Once you've got that plugged in, you simply hit save. So let's go back and talk about how do we set up these custom instructions. What are some best practices for that? So let's go in here and let's go to just a new chat window. And this is one of my favorite things to do. And we can type in something like, I am exploring the ability to set up custom instructions for my chat GPT account. I would like, let's see, I would like a detailed and very specific set of instructions so that my experience is perfectly personalized to my day-to-day. Right? So that's the first piece that I'll traditionally put in. And we'll talk a little bit about prompting here in a bit. Now, the next piece is really important. ChatGPT is one of those things that you can actually have conversations with. So this is not just tell it to do something and hope for the best. The best way to do some prompting, to go through this stuff, is actually to go through and have it ask you questions. So that's going to be the second part of this particular prompt. So I'm exploring the ability to set up custom instructions in my ChatGPT account. I would like a detailed and very specific set of instructions so that my experience is perfectly personalized to my day-to-day. Please ask me a series of questions to help you frame up and create the best set of instructions for me. And we'll put that in. That's going to take a second here. It's going to respond. And it's going to set me it's going to set up a set of questions for me to answer. And I won't go through all of these for the demo here today, but I want to just give you the experience of what this looks like. So you don't have to come up with everything off the top of your head. You can use the tool to create some different things. Now, of course, mine has some custom instructions already set in. So some of this is probably going to be based on what it already knows about me. But it already sets up and says, hey, I want to know some stuff about role and context, about tone and style, decision framework. So what roles do you want ChatGPT to support? Is it the entrepreneur, the operator, the coach side of things, investor, family leader, right? So I can answer that question. Should ChatGPT always treat you as Tanner or adapt depending on kind of my business or brand that I'm talking through, tone, right? So it's asking me these questions. I can simply just type in kind of this has been my best way to look at it is like, all right, so question one, and answer. And then I go to two, answer, right? And you can just start flowing through this process. And then when you're done, you hit enter, it'll compile all that information and it will give you a great set of instructions you can copy and then paste right into the custom instruction set. Now, if you're someone that hates typing, you can simply click this little button here and you can actually talk to it, which we won't do for the demo here today, but it does give you the ability to actually use voice. So if you don't want to use your fingers and actually type all this out. So let's get back to our slide deck here. So this is one of the first things that you need to do when you set up your ChatGPT account in order to get the best results possible from using this tool, setting up the custom instructions. Now, from there, we'll get into the advanced settings. So I talked a little bit about some of these, but we'll go back into the settings and look at where these are at. But setting up notification preferences. So if you do not know this, what's really cool is ChatGPT is something that works whether you have the app open or not. So if you're on the desktop, like we were just a minute ago, if you're on a web browser, or if you're even on your phone and you're using the ChatGPT app, and you ask it a question and it takes a minute to actually go through and answer that prompt, you can close out of the app and then come back to it when it's done. This works really well for complex tasks if it's doing some deep research or some agent work, things like that. That may take several minutes to get completed. You prompt the question, you walk away, you can set up notifications so it will pop up a notification, say, hey, Tanner, the chat or ChatGPT has finished your request. Click here and it will take you right to the chat window so you can go ahead and take a look at it. This is also really helpful if you decide to do multiple chats at once. So you can go in and have it do some work in one chat and then some work in a separate chat. They can work simultaneously and it'll send you a notification. So setting up notification preferences is a pretty neat piece in there. Connectors, especially as you move into a Plus account, Pro account, Team accounts, things like that, you can connect things like Google Drive or GitHub or Notion or some other platforms. And we'll look at some of those here in a second and be able to allow it to securely search for files and look for different things within your connected platforms. So this isn't just a singular thing that's a web search anymore. We can actually take a look at different things that we actually have access to and we allow it to have some access to. Personalization when it comes to color. So if you recall back to just a few seconds ago when I had my ChatGPT up, my little bubbles are purple. So there's ability to just set a little bit of personalization, especially on a team account. You can make that match your branding and different things like that. And then choosing some voice things. So you can choose the advanced voice mode. You can choose to talk instead of type, as I mentioned before. And it allows you to kind of go through some of those types of things. So this is really the piece where we would go through the demo. I've walked through it already, and I'm going to pull back up and go through a couple things we just talked about. But we want to set up the personalization, and this is kind of how you do that. Opening settings, go to personalization, enable custom instructions, start filling this stuff in. So let's flip back over to ChatGPT for a second, and let's go back to settings and take a look at a few other things here. So we've got the personalization that we just went through. The next one down is the notifications. You can manage and talk about notifications here. Now for this particular application, which is the desktop application, it looks like I've got notifications turned off. That being said, on my phone, I do have them turned on so that I can get notifications in real time right there. So we can go back, there's notifications. We've got connectors here. So we can go and we can look at all the different things that we can connect. So for me, I've got Canva, Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Drive, Notion, all connected already to the platform. It also supports at this point in time setting up Box, Dropbox, HubSpot, Outlook, SharePoint, a couple different pieces there. So another great way to just kind of connect things and be able to leverage the power of this particular tool. Data controls, you can set up some different controls around data. You can archive different chats, look at the security settings, show in menu bar. So you can have, this is a desktop app. So there's some things that we can take a look at there. Here's where you change the accent color. You can choose from a number of different things. The default is just kind of a gray. But if you're feeling a different vibe for your chats, you can make some adjustments there. Show additional models. So with the launch of ChatGPT 5, that is the default model for, I believe, all of the models or all of the subscription levels at this particular point in time. But if you click this little button, you can go back and use ChatGPT 4.0 or some of the other older models that may be good in different ways. You can have it correct spelling. You can have it open links on your desktop. I mean, there's a number of different things in here you can choose. Who do you want your maps provider to be positioned on screen? Like, there's so much in here that you can start to play around with. And then here's where you can kind of play around with the voice. What voice do you want to use? And there's a number of different ones that you can use within there. So just a couple things when it comes to setting things up for ChatGPT here. And let's go back to our slide deck. So those are some of the things that I'm going to recommend that you get set up immediately if you're going to start using ChatGPT consistently within your daily life or in your business. So let's talk a little bit about prompting. Prompting is a really important component. And then we're going to walk through a couple examples of good prompts versus bad prompts. Even with the custom instructions, I showed you kind of some different components that are really helpful. But I want to give you a framework today. So this framework here is one of the simplest, easiest things to start thinking about when you're writing a prompt. Role, task, context, and output. So the first question you have to ask when you're typing out a prompt is, who do you want the ChatGPT to be? Do you want it to be an expert marketer? Do you want it to be a business coach? Do you want it to be your best friend? Do you want it to be a specialist in one specific area? But tell it what you want. And then once you've established what their role is meant to be, tell them what needs to be done. I need you to solve XYZ problem. And then give it some context. Here are the things that you need to know about this challenge or this problem that we have that we're looking to solve. Here's what we've tried in the past. Here's some things that have worked well. Here's some nuances that probably are helpful to know about. And what is the desired format and tone for the output? This could be, I want you to give this to me in a bulleted format. I want this to be a Word document. I want this to be an image, right? You start looking at what is the exact output that you want from this, and then you ask it to put that together. So role, task, context, and output are going to be the 4 critical components of building a really good prompt. So here's some examples. A good versus bad prompt. Bad prompt, write an Instagram caption. It's generic, it's vague, it doesn't really give any context. Will you get a response? Sure. Is it the best response that you could possibly get? No. So a better prompt, in this case, a good prompt, is something like, you are a social media specialist. Write a playful Instagram caption promoting our eco-friendly lawn care service here in Georgetown. I want you to highlight the benefits and end with a call to action. So this is clear, it's structured, it hits the framework that we just went through, and it will provide a much better response than the simple version that we had pulled together before. So what I want you to do is I want you to actually try this. So this is kind of the live demo. I want you to type this in. I am not going to demo it for you because I want to see what your responses are as you go through it. And I encourage you to change some of these things for you specifically. So a vague prompt, improve our website copy. Problems with this, there's no role, there's no audience or tone, and there's no desired output. We're just hoping that it can improve website copy. It's going to give you some very generic response. Structured prompt, if you do this effectively, and this is what I want you to try. I want you to put both of these in. I want to see the difference in the responses that you get. Structured prompt, you are our UX or user experience copywriter. Rewrite the landing page for our eco-friendly lawn care service targeting homeowners in Georgetown. Highlight benefits, address common concerns, keep tone friendly and professional, and end with a clear call to action. So for this example, the first thing I want you to do is literally copy and paste this and put each of these in and see the difference in response. The next stage here, this is where it gets fun. I want you to take the structure and how this structured prompt is set up, and I want you to do it for your business. So I want you to actually pick one of your landing pages or your homepage. I want you to grab that link and I want you to paste it into the chat as well, along with the prompt that says, "You are our UX copywriter. Rewrite this landing page." So you're giving the link for our describe your business, targeting, describe your target, in put your location. Highlight the benefits, address common concerns, keep tone friendly and professional, and end with a clear call to action. Now I want you to see what that can do for you and your business. So pause this video, go to that, try that right now, and see what the responses are. If you've got the ability, take a minute and put a comment down below and let us know, how did that work? How much different were these prompts? What did you see differently about that? Share with us in the comments below. So once you've got the prompting down, let's talk a little bit more on how we set up additional advanced features and some settings and things like that within ChatGPT. So I've mentioned projects. Projects are one of the coolest things that I tend to play with on a regular basis. Now, the caveat here is you do have to move off of a free account. You have to be on the Plus, Pro, Team. Any of the paid accounts will give you access to projects. Projects operate very similar to folders. So you can categorize your chats by specific things. So you could do this by work-related items, personal-related items. Maybe it's departments, maybe one for marketing, one for sales, one for operations, one for finance. You can start to think about, how do I want to categorize different things? Now, what's cool about these is each project allows you to set up additional custom instructions for that specific project folder. So how I tend to look at this is the ability to set up specialists. So I'll show you an example of mine here in just a moment, but we can set up specialists that are focused on one specific thing. So maybe it's a marketing specialist, maybe it's even deeper than that. Maybe it's very specific things within marketing that I want it to be able to do. And I can categorize all of my chats within there, and I can give it the specific instructions. So let's take a look at how that actually works in real life here. So as you can see down here, I've got multiple different projects. To create a project, you simply hit new project, and then you can start to fill out the information. But I've got one on health and fitness. I've got one on writing. I've got one on business building, systems and tech, YouTube, Instagram, tech and AI, like you name it. Anything that comes up in your brain that you want to have a folder or a specialist on, you can start to do some stuff there. So let's take a look at LinkedIn specialists. So this one will be kind of fun. So you click on it and you've got all of your different chats that were in there for LinkedIn specialist. Now under LinkedIn specialist, this has the ability to add some files, some different things like that. So if I come over here, I believe right up here, it says edit project and edit instructions. So if we click edit project, it allows us to change the name of it and how to do some different things there. If I come over and I hit edit instructions, so this is the key. So if I hit edit instructions, it's going to pop up my window and my instructions for this particular project folder. Every chat in this folder will follow these instructions. So I wanted a LinkedIn specialist. So I tell a little bit about me. I tell it who I speak to. I say, I don't claim to have it figured out. Here's my background. I believe in this stuff. How do I want ChatGPT to respond? Primary formats, and it's going to give all of this detail and context on how I want to handle calls to actions, performance and optimization, leveraging LinkedIn's unique features. All of this is specific to LinkedIn. And yes, for those of you keeping score at home, this is not something that I came up with and just wrote. I went into ChatGPT. I told it what I was looking to create. I asked it to ask me questions. I asked it to do some research and some web research to help me come up with the best set of instructions for this particular specialist. So all of this has been put in. You put it in, you simply hit save. And then you can start messaging your LinkedIn specialist with all of that knowledge built in. Very, very cool stuff here. So that's projects. I encourage you to, if you do have a Plus account or higher, go ahead and create a project. Pick one specialty area that you would want to categorize a bunch of chats around. It does not have to go down as specific as what I did. Maybe it's just a work folder and a personal folder. And I want you to give it some additional context. Maybe add some files and things like that in there for reference, and allow that to be the place that you start with very specific chats on that specific topic. So this is projects. Now, the next thing we're going to look at here briefly is custom GPTs. So custom GPTs are a little bit different. They operate similarly to projects, but custom GPTs are a little bit different. So custom GPTs is where you can actually create that bespoke assistant with your own instructions, similar to how we're doing within projects. However, this allows us to add additional knowledge base, additional format type stuff, additional instructions. If you have a team or a business account, you can share these specifically within your team account. So this is, so let's say there's some things that are specific to your business that you're building out as assistants for your entire team. They can have access to these things, and then you can share them within your workspace. But it also allows you to publish them for free or paid on the GPT store. So I'm going to give you one of the examples that we've used here at our action coach firm to help support some of our team. But the ways to use this is pretty much limitless. So one of the things that we did, I was working with a team of mine that does some podcast interviews and things like that with local business owners. They have a lot of great time. We've been hiring new team members to continue to grow that out and continue to support the local businesses and share more of their stories. Now, anytime we bring somebody on, we've got to train them on how to be an amazing host. Now, one of the things that we do, and I think this is important in any marketing, sales, conversation type of a role within a company, and you could do this for customer support, you could do this for really anything. But one of the most important things that we talked about was call reviews, right? As a manager who's leading this team, I need to be going in and do call reviews. I need to look at these things. How can I help them be better at what they're doing consistently? Well, as we continue to grow the team, my time got limited, and it was very difficult to do a lot of call reviews, especially when the calls are 40 minutes to an hour on average. If they do five interviews in a week, it becomes very difficult for me to get through all of those and the other things that are on my plate to do. So I found it was not fair to them to have to wait for my feedback. Now, this does not excuse the ability to still go in and do live call reviews and things like that, but I wanted to give a faster feedback loop. So I created a custom GPT that is specific for doing call reviews. So I sat down with ChatGPT for probably 30 minutes to an hour. And I typed into a new chat and said, hey, I'm looking at creating a new custom GPT. This is what I want it to be for. I'm doing some call reviews with my team. I'd like to extract all of the information out of my head on how I do call reviews and the types of feedback that I provide. And I'd like to really codify that and put it into something that can be replicated so that the team can plug in a transcript and be able to get similar feedback as to what they would if I went through the full call review. So I told ChatGPT this, and it came back and asked me a bunch of questions. We went back and forth and back and forth. I provided kind of the scripting and the outline and all the different things that we had for training on this particular spotlight series that we have, and kind of went round and round until it said, hey, do you want to see an example of this? I said, yes, I do. So it plugged in kind of what the maybe a transcript and let it come out with some response. And there were some things I liked, some things I didn't. So I continued to tweak and ask it some questions. Say, hey, I don't like this. I do like this, until we got it pretty much just right. And then I asked it to build the entire instruction set so that we could put it in the custom GPT, wrote that out for me, and I copied it and I pasted it and I built out this custom GPT. So I will show this to you in just a moment. Now, when this thing is set up, I have sent this link over to the team, and the team in real time can click on the link and go to the custom GPT and type in, hey, I'm ready to do a call review. The custom GPT will respond back with, that is fantastic, ready to do that. Now, just to be on, for clarity, are you a manager reviewing a team member's, or are you a team member reviewing your own call? So it has some context on how to respond. I'm a team member responding to or reviewing one of my own calls. Okay, perfect. It then says, great, that sounds fantastic. Here's kind of what we're going to go through. We're going to be taking a look at these, I think it's 6 different pillars. And I'm ready when you are. Go ahead and upload the transcript and any additional information that you have. Team member goes to Zoom, pulls the transcript, copies it right into the chat, says, hey, this was the response. Zoom's even got some additional cool things that showcase talk time and speed of words and all that kind of stuff. So I'll have them screenshot that little thing, throw it in as well, and then hit enter. It's going to analyze the entire thing, and it's going to provide this entire set of coaching instructions that has, here's some things you did really, really well. We're going to go take it pillar by pillar. Here's maybe an area that you could improve upon. Here's a question that you asked and maybe could have gone a little bit deeper. And it's going to give some examples and things like that. Now, what's really cool is it becomes an interactive tool. So I can say, hey, well, tell me more about why I didn't do so well here, or how can I continue to improve on this? And it will give live feedback. So is it as good as me sitting down with them one-to-one? Probably not, but it's pretty close. And the fact that the team now doesn't have to wait days to get a call review completed, they can go in and have it done in a matter of minutes. So this is the power of how to use these custom GPTs within your business. So let's go ahead and take a look at the examples here. So up here is GPTs. And so the one that I've got here is podcast call. And it literally is just a chat window like anything else. But on the back end, it's got all of those instructions that I talked about before. Now, to create a GPT or a custom GPT, that is something that does have to be completed on the web browser version. So this is the desktop app that I've got opened up here. I don't have the access to be able to do that directly here on the call. But if you go into GPTs, you can actually go to Explore GPTs, and it takes you to this kind of app store, if you will. And it will give you the ability to go into My GPTs, and then you'll have a Create GPT button that's, I believe, over here on the right-hand side. And then you can go in, you can edit any of these. So if I go into this call review one as an example, go into Edit, and let's see if I can pull this over. It's not going to let me pull that over in live stream because it's trying to pull it up into a web browser. So editing, creating does have to be done in a web browser, but you do have the ability to go back and edit those and that sort of thing. So that's custom GPTs, one of the most powerful things that you can use there. So how to do it, like I said, it has to be done on the web browser. Go to GPTs, new GPT, name it something. So in this case, this would be a really good use case for you to go test your first one. Name your new custom GPT marketing assistant, maybe marketing assistant for XYZ business, and then start adding some instructions. You can start with something simple like generate marketing copy, maintain my brand voice, and then upload your brand guidelines or some documents and things like that. And then simply ask it a question, have it come up with some of those responses for you. So really, really cool use case for this particular thing. So this is where I'd like to have y'all take a couple minutes, maybe pause the video and go test some of these things. One of our really cool use cases from marketing. So we'll stick kind of with marketing as some of our examples here today, but there's a number of different ways you can use this within your business. But use it to review some of your social posts. So you can actually take a copy paste of a post or transcript and then start getting some responses on it. Now, whether or not you've got a custom GPT or a project or something that's specialized for this, just putting this into a basic chat will give you a lot of insight on how you can improve and that sort of thing. So what I want you to do is I want you to go find one of your most recent social media posts. That could be a personal post, it could be a business post, but I want you to go find it. I want you to screenshot that post. So you've got an image that you can upload. And then I want you to copy the entire post. So if it's a text and image post, then take all of the text. I want you to copy it. If it's a video post, short form video, something like that, if you can get the transcript, this would be ideal. But whatever the words are in the post, I want you to copy that. So now you have text and you have an image. I want you to take those two things. I want you to put it into ChatGPT, and I want you to say, "Hey, please review this post. I want to review it for clarity. I want to review it for level of engagement, and I'd like some suggestions on how I can improve this for my next post." It will analyze all that information. It's going to give you some details on how to improve, and then you can choose at least one to go implement in your next post. Kind of a pretty simple and easy use case that can be pretty powerful to improve some of the things you may already be doing within your business. So there's one thing that I want you to go try. Once you've done that, I want you to try some repurposing of your content. So now you've got your post and you've got all of this stuff kind of figured out. You know what's going to be better. Now I want you to provide ChatGPT with that same post, or even stay within that chat window, and to say, "Hey, I want to turn this into a couple different pieces of content. So can you please turn this into a LinkedIn post, an email newsletter, and a 30-second video script?" You can give it additional context there. Maybe say, depending on what you put in, if it was a LinkedIn post beforehand, then maybe don't use LinkedIn. Maybe use it for Facebook. See how it can adapt it for Facebook. And tell it, I want it to be a short form, or I want it to be longer. In the email newsletter, I want it to be approximately 200 words, 300 words, 500 words. Give it some additional context and have it put those things together for you so that you can just take it and repurpose it. So one idea, one thing that you've written and put together, refined it a little bit, and now you're asking it to take that same context and put it into different formats so that you can repurpose this in different ways. So very quick, easy, simple way to use something you're already doing in your business. Use this tool in a matter of seconds and be able to triple your output. Now, key point for many of you business owners out there: this does not mean that you have to do it. This is where a team member can be that much more empowered to get work done faster, get it done with greater clarity, with improvements, all of that kind of stuff within a matter of minutes versus having to come up with each one of these things manually. So repurposing of content. Next one I want you to do is a business brainstorm. So this one's pretty cool, especially if you're in a planning session, whether you're planning for the month, you're planning for the quarter, or you're in a position where you're starting to plan for the next year. I want you to just take a minute and briefly describe your business to ChatGPT. Now, you could do this verbally, you could do this written, whatever's easiest or most effective for you. And then once you've gotten all of this stuff kind of out of your brain, and this is what my business does, ask it to generate 10 promotional ideas for your business this month. And I want you to see what the output is. I want you to pick the top 5 and ask it to maybe go a step deeper and say, "Hey, I really like numbers 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Can we take this a level deeper? Based on my preferences and that I like these, how can we refine these 5 to be even better?" See what it comes up with, and continue to just go back and forth until you can narrow it down to maybe 2 or 3 top ones that you can use either this month or in the next couple of months. Biggest suggestion is go back to your original plan for the business and see how these things plug in. I don't traditionally recommend going off and doing something brand new, but if there's a iteration on something that you're already doing, or an improvement upon something that you're already doing, and it gives you some ideas on how to leverage that, this is an excellent way to start using this tool. The last kind of demo that I want you to start thinking about is, we talked a lot about marketing side. We started to talk a little bit about how we can think about this from a brainstorming things within business, but team training. So if you are someone that does have a checklist, a training outline, a guideline for something that you would train somebody else on in your team, I want you to provide that into a chat. And I want you to ask it to create a 5 questions quiz to test the understanding of the topic. So now you can actually gamify the learning for your team on how to learn a process or something else like that within your business. Now, once you've got that, you can turn that into multiple different things. One of the easiest ones is, Tanner, I need to create SOPs for my business. Great. So put in the training outline or the things that you're trying to do, maybe this checklist, have it create a question quiz to help understand the topic, and then ask it to create a short SOP or an SOP summary for the team so that they can actually use that in the future. So one of my favorite things to do. So this would be kind of a bonus add-on to this type of a use case within a business. One of my favorite things to do is actually screen record something that I'm doing. So maybe it's I've got to figure out how to replicate an event or how to send an email, or recently we talked about how do you add co-hosts to other people's Zoom accounts. Very simple thing, but knowing which buttons to click and where to go in Zoom to be able to find that information. So a team member of mine was like, well, just screen record it. Like, yes, that's a good idea. So, over a course of 90 seconds, I just pull it up, screen record, show exactly how to do it. What's really cool is then you can take it, you can get the transcripts. If you record that right here on Zoom, something like that, you get the transcript afterwards. You can take that video and then you can take the transcript, put the transcript into ChatGPT, say, hey, here's a transcript of a video screen record I just did on how to do XYZ. Please create a simple checklist to that somebody can follow in order to be able to accomplish this task. And then I want you to create a formal SOP that we can add into our knowledge hub. And all of a sudden, in a matter of seconds, not minutes, not hours, not days, a matter of seconds, we now have an entire process mapped out, ready to go, that's easy to follow for anyone on the team so that the next time that myself or somebody else needs to do that task, we can simply hand it over to somebody else. Pretty powerful. So some simple use cases. To bring us home on the conversation today, hopefully you've started to kind of take some good notes on some things here, are looking at how do I implement these things in my business? Maybe there's just one thing that you start using. But I want you to start doing some live brainstorm. I want you to start thinking about, write down where you can. Pause this video for a minute and just get everything out of your head. How else can you use AI in your business? This slide says in Q4. If you're watching this later on, maybe it's Q1, maybe it's Q2, whatever the next quarter is for you, I want you to be thinking about how else can you use AI in your business over this next quarter? What are some simple things based on what you've learned here today it's going to allow you to start implementing and getting comfortable with using the tools? You don't have to revolutionize your business overnight, but I want you to start thinking about how do I start using this consistently? Because here's the action items leaving today. Pick one area of your business: marketing, sales, operations, team or people. Maybe it's finance, maybe it's IT. I want you to pick one of those areas and think about how you can apply ChatGPT to this one area over the course of the next week. Just pick one. I want you to write a structured prompt. I want you to use that framework we talked about earlier: role, task, context, and output. And if you need to rewind this video, go back, grab those 4 buckets and how they operate. And lastly, I'm going to encourage you to commit 10 minutes every day to daily use. If you're not someone who's using this tool consistently, getting comfortable with it is the first step. Yes, we can set up the instructions. Yes, we got to do X, Y, and Z. But if we can just commit 10 minutes of use every single day just to get familiar with the tool, understand the outputs, ask it questions, the friction will get easier. And the bonus here for all of you that do have a team, encourage your team to do the same. Have them spend 10 minutes every day to use it. I'm going to bring you home on one final bonus nugget for the conversation today. For anyone that's still out there going, man, I don't know. I still think this is still too much. I don't see how this can help me in my business. I don't know where I can go with these types of things. My bonus nugget for you today is that one thing I haven't even talked about is ChatGPT Agent, which actually can connect and do even more for you than what I've showcased in this presentation. What's so cool about this is that this whole presentation was written, designed, and built using ChatGPT Agent. I asked a series of questions to ChatGPT. I said, here's the things I want to cover, and I'd like you to actually write an entire presentation, outline that for me. Here's some of my brain guidelines. have it create the entire thing. And I turned on Agent and said, I would like you to actually create the PowerPoint presentation in a .ppt format as the output. Go. Took about 15 minutes and it put this entire presentation together. And the amount of editing I needed to do on the back end was maybe 5 minutes worth, just to change a few wording, how it was laid out, things like that to fit what we're going to be talking about here today. But rather than having to come up with a 19 slide presentation for y'all over the course of a matter of days, it took minutes. It's so, so powerful. So this has been the presentation on AI in business, how to get started using ChatGPT. And note, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much you can do with this, and hopefully this is empowering to allow you to take that one next step and get comfortable in using ChatGPT or a similar agent or a similar language model in your business over the next quarter, year, etc. So with that, my name is Tanner O'Brien. Thanks so much for taking time. We'll talk to you soon.